All right, we're live. What's going on, everybody? It's Kev from 104.9 The Morning X here with drummer and co-founder of Daze, Sean Dowdell. What's up, Sean?
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me today.
I'm glad to have you. I said that right, Dowdell, right?
Yes, sir.
I always got to check, and I should have checked before we went live. That's Radio 101, but I think we can revert back a little bit for this. So the album is Amends, release date pushed back to June 26th. Obviously, in all this mess, I don't think you wanted to release an album that early, right?
Yeah, it just didn't feel right, with everything going on. We didn't want to try to throw a party in the middle of a hurricane, so we decided to push it back.
Definitely understandable. So let's talk about Amends as a project. I think I read that it started when Chester Bennington was still with us. Is that right?
Yeah, it started. We had our initial conversation in October of 2016. He and I would speak all the time. We were not only friends and band members, but we were business partners as well in a company called Club Tattoo. And, just kind of, we were talking about throwing another party for one of our, and basically we came up with the idea of putting Daze back together. And when he asked me to do that, I said, that sounds great. And that would have been October of 2016. And then in early 2017, we started actually working on songs in the studio while he was still alive. We started working on 3 tracks. And unfortunately, he passed away in July of that year. So we didn't get to complete it with him here.
Right. So you were working on new stuff, or was it just retooling? Oh, have you lost me? You got me now? How about now? You got me now?
I got nothing.
Interesting. Okay. One moment. Can you hear me now,
Is your mic muted, maybe?
No, it's not. Not muted.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
You want me to try to call you right back? Nope. Do you want me to link you back? Yep. Okay, I'll hit you right back.
Okay, sure. Thanks. All right, so we're going to try and stay live. Hopefully you can hear me when he comes back. I hope you can hear me right now. So we'll just wait for him to log back on. This is what's called live. Anything can happen during a live broadcast. Oh, how about now? Can you get me now?
Yep, got you now.
Awesome. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen again.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It wasn't. I don't think it was anybody's fault. This is the new world we live in, and we're all going to have to get used to it, I think.
No kidding, right?
So, Amends, you started out writing new material. Is that right?
We started to. The songs that ended up making the album Amends were songs that were originally done in the 90s, but we rewrote all of the music around Chester's vocals. So we literally started from scratch except for his vocal track. We just isolated that. We worked on the arrangement of that, and then we actually went back and rewrote all of the music around his vocal tracks.
That had to be a challenge.
It was a huge challenge. The reason it took us 2.5 years to get it done. It's kind of writing songs in reverse. Usually you start with the music and then you layer melodies and harmonies and things over the top of the foundation. And this, we just worked backwards. So it was definitely difficult. But
I'm sure as a drummer, you had the most infuriating part of all that.
No, actually, I think I had the easiest part of that because I got to work with so many great people. And, they had lots of ideas. It wasn't just me coming up with drum beats. It would be, the different producers and stuff. We'd work back and forth. It was actually one of the most interesting times as a drummer because I had to wear so many hats on this project that drumming was like one of 5 hats that I had to wear. But I actually had a great time. I really enjoyed doing all the stuff in the studio. It was a lot of fun.
So Sickness is really resonating with a lot of people. I mean, it's kicking ass everywhere that it's being played. And I think part of that is a lot of people miss Chester. But you've known this song for longer than any of us. So when you hear it now, after Chester's death, knowing what you know now, does it speak to you from a different place?
It does. It helps me understand, I think, the deep emotional strife that he was going through at the time. That he wasn't able to, even though he was able to express it in these songs.
Sure.
But there's still this underlying thing he wasn't trying to say that he did say that you hear now. And there's definitely a feeling of emptiness from coming through from him on that song.
Like I said, it's been doing very well, and I think a lot of that has to do with that feeling. And a lot of people right now, even especially during COVID-19 and all that, might be feeling a little more despair than usual.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we're all seeing a lot more people going through personal mental health issues, and it's definitely one of the things we're trying to raise a little bit more awareness for is understanding that a lot of people are having hard times right now, and to try to just be a little bit more kind and reach out and make sure that people know that you care about them and that they're not alone in the world right now, even though you may feel like it. There are people that you can talk to. So you're absolutely right. That's a great point. And definitely the irony of the song being named Sickness is not lost on any of us during the time that it happens to be out.
Right. It's definitely just hitting it's hitting a real big spot at home for a lot of people, I think, which is why I think part of it is why it's doing so well. Can we go back? Let's go back. Let's go back in time. Back to 1992. You first meet Chester Bennington. What do you think of him?
I think he was 15 years old. I was 17. He had tight curly hair. He weighed about 90 pounds. He was wearing these wire rimmed glasses. I thought he was nerdy looking. And then he walked in, and I had this huge ego back then. And that's why I'm being honest, in the way I describe it is I was disappointed when he walked in the room, and then he picked up the microphone and he blew our asses away. He was really amazing, and he could sing, and he had this angst, and he had this anger, and he had this passion, and all these things came through vocally, and it just shut me up, because all this pretense, these preconceived notions I had of him walking through that door was destroyed in 2 seconds the moment he was able to sing. And I have to call myself out on that. I have quite a bit actually over the years. Yeah. When I get asked this question, I have to hold myself accountable for that that thought process that I went through, that judgment that I held him to at the time. It just wasn't, not only was it not fair, but it wasn't accurate.
Yeah, it's the whole judging a book by its cover thing.
Yeah, and I have to make sure that I hold myself to that and going, you know what, you were an idiot for thinking that way.
So how long was the band together with Chester?
6 years.
6 years. I don't know. I don't want to bring up any bad beef or anything like that. Was there a falling out? I mean, I see the album called Amends, and it makes me think, oh, maybe they're trying to make amends, trying to tie some loose ends up.
No, actually, I'll get to that in a moment. So we had a huge breakup. It was 1998. We had just had, some of us had ego problems, some of us had drug problems, some of us were selfish, and it all just kind of culminated into a big fight. We were supposed to record a 4-song production deal demo. That following weekend, we did a tune-up show, and just things came to a head, and we just all screamed at each other and told each other off, and literally didn't talk to Chester for nearly 2 years after that.
Damn.
But luckily, our attorney at the time, Scott Harrington, had the foresight and said, look, Chester's extremely talented. I don't want to see him disappear into this lame music scene in Phoenix, because at the time, there wasn't much going on in Phoenix. We were one of very few bands actually having success. So he had the wherewithal to get in touch with Chester and bring him out to LA for I think he did an audition tape in Phoenix, and then brought him out to LA to audition for the band Zero at the time, and it became Linkin Park. But so more power to Scott Harrington. He never gets any of the credit for all the history that I see out there about how Linkin Park came around. He seems to be completely forgotten, as well as the band Grey Daze in that role. But as far as the second part of your question, no, that we did not name the album Amends because we were making amends with Chester. We were the closest of friends. Chester was one of my best friends in the world. The title came from when we were in the studio bouncing album title possibilities back and forth. And Kristen, our guitar player, said, hey, what about making amends? Because that specific word is in a song called Moray Sky. It says, if I had a second chance, I'd make amends, only to find myself losing in the end. And that, to all of us, felt like an apology from Chester from beyond. We feel like had Chester woken up the day after he had done what he did, he would have apologized to us, because we just think it was a moment of weakness, and I don't think he really meant to do that. So that's really where the title came from. And then, of course, we shortened it to Amends because there's a duality to the term. People can take on their own meaning with it. It really has an abundance of ambiguity in the context that we're using it. So we felt like it just really encapsulated everything we were doing.
So what did you think the first time you heard Linkin Park?
I thought it was amazing. I owned a recording studio at the time, and I used to be what was called an influencer. So the record label would send me big boxes of CDs every month, and they would ask me to go through them, listen to them, and tell them my opinion. And I ended up getting a CD. I think the demo was, it might even have been, the band might have been called Hybrid Theory before it was even Linkin Park. And they had sent it like a 4-song demo and said, will you give us feedback on this? And I knew it was Chester on there. And I brought it home to my wife that day. And I said, this is going to be huge. This is amazing. These guys have really done something with this rap rock thing that hadn't been done, in my opinion, up to that point. And to be able to tap into Chester's emotional genius vocally, they had done it. So I knew it was going to be huge right at the time. And he and I weren't speaking when that album came out. So, but I knew it was going to be huge, and I was very proud of him. Yeah. Regardless.
Well, like I said, Adam, I'm not trying to bring up any bad feelings or bad beat from the past, but I mean, it had to have been hard. I mean, just knowing about myself and the way that I was, maybe 10, 20 years ago, to see somebody who I had been in a project with suddenly launch to a higher level of stardom, it would have kind of hit me in the gut a little bit. So, I mean, if you handled it like an adult, then high five to you.
No, it did not hit me in the gut at all, because I felt like I had a huge part in getting him to that point. Yeah. He and I were the closest of friends right up until the band broke up. I wasn't jealous like that. I knew he was extremely talented. I knew how hard he worked. I knew that he busted his ass to get where he's at. I didn't know the other guys at the time, so I didn't know anything about them. But I was very proud of him, knowing how hard he had worked to get to that point. So no, I wasn't jealous. And I used to get that question a lot. I never really understood it. Like, no, why would I be upset that he did well? First of all, I'm very successful in not everything, in a lot of things that I've done in my life. My business, I had signed a deal at the same time that he had signed with another band with EMI Records. So I was still, chasing that rock star dream myself. So I was very proud of him to see where he had gotten. And then when we finally did make amends in our friendship in 2002, we picked it right up where we had left off and became best of friends again, and then eventually became business partners as well.
Is there a plan in the future to have live Grey Day shows?
The only way we would entertain a live Grey Day shows is if we did some type of a tribute where singers who loved Chester would come and sing the songs in tribute to Chester. We have no intention of trying to replace Chester and doing a Journey. I don't really want to do a Journey thing. That's not, I know, no diss to those guys, love that band, but it's just not what this was. This project was about completing this music for Chester and making it about Chester. So I think it would come off a little bit disingenuous if we were to get to the finish line and say, oh, now we have a chance to play live. Here's our new singer. Right. That's not what we're about. This whole thing was about our friend and trying to complete something that we had started with him that was important to him.
And that's great that you could do that. It's great that you had the tools and the powers to do that. You're also a tattoo entrepreneur. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about Club Tattoo. How did that get started?
In 1995, Grey Daze was doing these little satellite tours where we would play Tucson, or we would play Denver, or we would play Las Vegas, or we'd headline the Whiskey, and we'd go out for 3-4 days and do these little short tours. And we would come back, and even though the band was selling a lot of tickets, all the money we were making, we'd put right back into the band. So we were coming home to bills and not having the money to pay the bills because we weren't working as 9-to-5ers, so to speak. So Mace, the bass player, and I came up with the idea of opening up a tattoo shop. It was a business we could own so that when we were out on the road, we could come back and still maintain our bills and our lifestyle, which was very minimal at the time. We'd started that in 1995. Chester actually helped me paint the entire business and lay all the linoleum in the original location and all that. So it was a passion project for him. And then once he came into some own success, for his own success, he called me one day and asked to be my business partner in expanding Club Tattoo, because he loved it since he was with the band back in the 90s. So that's really how it came about. And then once we expanded Club Tattoo, we eventually opened 7 studios in Las Vegas, and then in Arizona. We have 3 shops on the Strip in the casinos up there, and it's one of the most successful tattoo and piercing studios in the world, and we're very proud of it. My wife and I run the entire company. We have over 100 employees, and we bust our butt every day. It's our daily passion.
That's great. So what is the industry, the tattoo industry, doing to stay afloat during a pandemic?
A lot of it is sinking. My wife and I are in a decent spot financially because of the business's success over the years, and we're maintaining as best we can, but it definitely is hurting us, and we're trying to just make sure we don't lose employees and staff, and trying to make sure that our tattoo artists can eat and our piercers can pay the rent and all those things. And it's a huge burden on us. But it's very important that we try to keep that business camaraderie and make sure that our staff knows how important they are to us. So that's my wife and I's mission right now. I know a lot of people in the tattoo industry, and a lot of people are suffering really badly, but I don't think it's any different than any other small business that's had to close due to it. I think everyone in the small business community that's not open right now is suffering some degree.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's the way of the world right now, though, and whatever you can do to stay afloat. And we hope the best for you, man. And people are loving the song, man. People are loving Sickness and loving Gray Days. And we're glad you guys were able to share that music with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. We really appreciate it.
And thank you very much, Sean Dowdell of Gray Days. We appreciate it.
Have a great day, man.
You too. Bye-bye.